The 21st imagineNATIVE Film and Media Arts Festival, the world's largest presentation of Indigenous film and media works. Join us online from October 20th to the 25th, 2020. Passes available now at imagineNATIVE.org.
Bonjour, hello. My name is Danielle Odette. I am the Acting Executive Director of Programming and Scheduling at APTN. I'm a Métis Francophone based here on Treaty 1 territory on the lands traditionally occupied by the Anishinaabe and the homeland of the Métis Nation. I wanted to just take a moment to express how APTN feels privileged to be part of another year of APTN imagineNATIVE web series pitch competition, which includes a license fee from APTN. This competition showcases promising Indigenous filmmakers and producers who have developed their ideas for potential web series. All teams submitted outstanding projects and are now about to present their brilliant ideas to a panel of industry professionals, which is an accomplishment to be celebrated in itself. I want to thank each one of the competitors and express our gratitude for your dedication and for putting yourself out there. Best of luck.
Hello, everyone. I'm Suzanne Lacey, Deputy Director of Bell Fund. We're thrilled to be back again this year to support another group of incredibly talented creators. I'd encourage all of those pitching today and those watching to check us out at bellfund.ca. See if the programs that we offer, such as the short form digital series program, aligns with the work that you're doing. You can write to us at info@bellfund.ca. and we'd be happy to hear from you and to answer your questions. So good luck to all the participants. Miigwech.
Hi, everyone, and welcome to the APTN imagineNATIVE web series pitch competition. My name is Adriana Chartrand. I'm the Institute Manager at imagineNATIVE, and I'm super excited to welcome you all to this year's pitch event. Before we begin, I'd like to acknowledge that the land that imagineNATIVE is on, known as Toronto, is the treaty territory of the Mississaugas of the Credit. It is also the traditional territory of the Haudenosaunee, Huron-Wendat, and Anishinaabe peoples. Okay, so APTN imagineNATIVE, we've partnered for several years on this web series pitch now, and every year we're just so thrilled and privileged to see the breadth of creativity, originality, and artistic vision coming from Indigenous creators that apply for this pitch. It's quite special, and we're very excited to see what the teams have for us this year. And with that, I'm going to turn it over to Deb Day of Innovate By to intro you to the event.
Thanks, Adriana. It's really great to be here. And this is the first year that the pitches will be pre-recorded as opposed to live and in person at the festival. So it's really different, but also really exciting too. We have 4 incredible teams, and joining me to adjudicate are 3 jury members. First, we have Karen Tremblay, who's the manager of APTN's Lumi. Karen's been a part of APTN since August 2016, and she is responsible for executing all language programming acquisitions for APTN's Lumi, curating the platform, the assets, and assisting with the development, implementation, monitoring, and evaluation of the programming strategies for Lumi. We have Shane Belcourt, award-winning Métis filmmaker, writer, musician based in Toronto. His notable works include the feature film Takaranto, Red Rover, and shorts such as A Common Experience, Quiet Place, and Pukums. He is a consulting producer on CBC's Trickster, and Shane is currently in production on a feature documentary on Tom Wilson and is in development on his next feature, Dumbbell. And hailing from south of the border, we've got Yanetta Leahy, who's the senior manager of the Sundance Institute Indigenous program. Yanetta helps identify and support emerging Indigenous filmmakers and their stories from across the world. She manages the implementation of all the fellowships and events, as well as facilitates the outreach and engagement efforts. So all our teams today are competing for one grand prize, which includes a $30,000 web series license from APTN, $10,000 production prizing from Bell Fund, and a series of in-kind services. So here's how the pitches will run. We have 4 teams who are pre-selected through a competitive application. They consist of 3 dramatic and 1 documentary web series. Each team will present their 7-minute pre-recorded pitch, and then the jury will have up to 7 minutes to ask any questions or the teams for any elaboration on anything that was presented in the pitch. At the end, the jury will deliberate and the winners will be announced at the imagineNATIVE award ceremony on October 25th. So thank you for joining us. Let's get right into the pitches. I'm going to wish you every success. I love all your projects. I cannot wait to see them because I've not seen your videos. And we'll see you back in your Q&As, okay? First up is D.H.
Bonjour, Migo and Fairbrother, Indigenous, Winnipeg, Manitoba, and Tonji. I'm an actor, writer, director, but more importantly, I'm a storyteller. I'm currently acting in and writing for season 4 of CBC's Burden of Truth. I'm also developing a new television pilot for CBC called De Boywin. We started this journey about 4 years ago, and this is the result of that journey. A new sci-fi dramatic comedy called D.H, a 4-part adventure web series.
Hi, I'm Cynthia Murdoch, and I'm a Cree producer living in Winnipeg. I'm a graduate of NSI New Indigenous Voices Program 2018, and I'm a CMPA internship recipient. I work for Eagle Vision and the Manitowabi Festival. I have production coordinated for Taken Season 4, a national campaign called Sacred MMIWG, and Diaspora, which is a feature film by Deco Dawson. I'm the head researcher and associate producer for an up-and-coming TV series called 7th Gen, and I will serve as the producer on this web series.
So what is D.H? D.H is a fast-paced sci-fi dramatic comedy driven by the power of human connection and the belief that if we overlook our differences, the unimaginable can happen. With our series, we will ask the question, do other dimensions exist? We will suggest that the answer is of course, but more specifically, what holds them together? The vibrations of love, which is the very last thing on Doug and Hannah's minds, our heroes. So let's take a look at the trailer.
Doug was a little unmotivated.
Hey. There you go.
Until he met me.
Holy shit.
Hi, Doug.
Interdimensional influencer.
You drove a blue Sunfire in high school and crashed it trying to impress a girl. She didn't sleep with you. You regret wasting that car to this day.
Where are your shoes? What are you talking about?
I gave Doug the osmotic conductor. And I made sure he bumped into the right person.
Oh, so sorry. Jeez.
Me. Well, another me.
How did you do that?
Back up, weirdo.
Whoa!
Did they tell you anything?
You have really nice breath.
Can we get some coffee?
There's coffee at the lab.
What's your name?
Hannah. But call me H. Come on.
Doug and Hannah had to meet that day. The fate of the interdimensions depended on them. And lucky for them, they'll get a hand from me.
So let's talk about the season arc. So the first 4 episodes of season 1 will set the stage for future seasons. Because, well, let's face it, if there are unlimited universes, there's unlimited content. Episode 1 which is represented by the trailer. Doug meets a mysterious stranger who slips him a device and then leads him to Hannah before disappearing. And it just so happens that Hannah looks exactly like the mysterious stranger. So after some confusion, Hannah eventually takes Doug to her lab. Episode 2, our heroes meet Dr. Stephen. And as we learn that the lab is in financial trouble, we find out that Dr. Stephen is actually a product of the child welfare system. He didn't grow up with his culture. And so creates a little bit of tension between him and Doug, because Doug is very much comes from his culture. So Dr. Stephen, he's also a brilliant scientist who worked with Hannah's dad before he passed away, or so everyone thinks. Anyway, as they're there together in the lab, the device reacts and they all get excited about it, but they have no idea why. In episode 3, the mysterious stranger turns out to be an interdimensional traveler and a member of a council. We get to look into the politics of keeping the peace in the interdimensions with a cast of otherworldly beings. And we also learned that Hannah and Doug have been chosen by this council for a much greater purpose, one that we'll find out as the season goes. Episode 4, Doug takes Hannah to a family barbecue in North End where he sings a song from his childhood dreams, a special blend of like traditional and contemporary sounds that was given to him by his grandpa. The device opens up, opening up a portal leading to a huge breakthrough in Hannah's research. Meanwhile, Dr. Stephen back at the lab accepts financial help from a strange corporation, an entity called Interdom, who actually just wants the technology for their own nefarious purposes. So to realize this journey, we will use one-shots and cinematic washes to join the sequences together like in Birdman. This will create tension as a through line, carrying its power from scene to scene in a way that will feel bold, like anything can go wrong at any minute. And this character-driven journey will feel like a powder keg of possibility heading towards our true theme. Seeing each other's hearts, we see ourselves.
We're planning on shooting in May 2021 with 5 shooting days in Winnipeg, and we budgeted for 10-hour days with crew and 8 hours for cast. Speaking of budget, we can deliver our web series for $63,000. $57,000 will be covered by award prizes, and we have confirmed in-kind services from Eagle Vision, totaling $7,000. We also allocated $1,000 within the budget for marketing. We are planning on creating Facebook and Instagram accounts where we will release promo photos, interviews, and trailers for the series.
Following in one of my mentor's steps, Michelle Latimer, I'd like to use her philosophy of employing Indigenous creatives in as many key positions as possible, in front of the camera and behind. With D.H, I want to showcase Indigenous positive images, normalizing Indigenous people in positions of power, showing them inhabiting a greater world and universe made up of all kinds of people. But we are no longer the victims. We are empowered. We are in the driver's seat and creating the content now that best reflects our new budding world.
Thank you very much. That was great. Welcome, Migwin and Cynthia. I'm going to start our timer, and we have 7 minutes for our jury to ask any questions.
Very cool. Who wants it? We have no. I have no idea. Normally, I look down the thing and then approach a microphone, and we'd know what to do. This is very strange. Miguel, great to see you, brother.
Hey, good to see you too.
To your team, can you give me a sense of who the rest of the cast is that you have in mind? I'm mostly concerned right now with the pitch and the story development as you presented so far in regards to the antagonism. You know, you reference like the bad company. I'm picturing Peter Parker and that kind of stuff. Like, so what's that world about? Can you tell me about that antagonism force? I get it. You know, Doug and Hannah meet up, and they're the chosen ones in a love story. Love it. So how are we going to get the antagonism? How are we going to feel that? And who is it going to be? Who are you thinking?
Yeah, great. So that will have to happen in the casting that's in our production schedule, which will happen in early spring. And the way I've imagined this entity being represented is going to be a little bit like we're going to layer it in episode by episode, and we're going to keep building it towards, the total reveal of who these guys are. But I'd like to start with casting one individual that will be coming to meet Dr. Stephen in the lab. We'll make the offer of, we know that you're in financial trouble, we're going to help you. And Dr. Stephen takes takes the money, right? So I imagine this person, you know, like a really like black on black suit, kind of very, you know, corporate, very very slick, smooth talking type of individual. But I also see them as like a shapeshifter, right? So it could, it doesn't have to be the same character in every single episode. This one character could potentially change to different characters and shows up. That will answer those questions in the development period, which we have, I think, between January and February, a little bit in December as well. But yes, we'd have to cast that. But I want to leave it open so that, you know, it could be a woman, it could be a man, it could be a dog sometimes, it could be, you know, these nefarious entity can shapeshift. Maybe they have some type of technology that allows them to be bad guys, right? And I think essentially what the bad guys are trying to do is take over the technology for themselves, take over the council, and kind of rule the universe, as it were, or the dimensions.
Hi, nice to meet you guys. I just have a quick question just surrounding your budget. So I know a lot of times that these futuristic projects and genre projects kind of exceed, you know, what they're intending. So do you guys have any backup plans, or do you have any plans for how you're going to create that futuristic experience with a minimal budget?
Well, with our budget right now, like we're sitting at 63,000, but we're planning on applying for grants through MFM and I believe Canada Media Fund. So with that, you know, provided that we get it, then we'll go into, I guess, more animation and.
Yeah, like for me, like I'm very interested in using, like, you know, using tricks. Like I just love old style camera tricks and movie magic, you know, so figuring out ways to problem solve what the portals will look like, or what the shape shifting will look like with the camera turns away and then another character shows, you know, what steps in kind of thing. So for the first season, we want to do it, you know, we want to spend time in reality. So we'll do, you know, episode 3, we're going to see the chamber in the otherworldly place. So we'll have to, you know, dress up. I think that would be the biggest expense, would just be seeing the council and what that looks like. But I think we could solve that pretty easily for this first season. So should we, you know, be successful and get to a second season, that's where I would want to spend more money doing those kind of, you know, actually jumping into a portal and those kind of genre things. But we can do smaller things like the device that's in the hand glowing. We can do that in After Effects. We can do small things that's using camera technique and kind of creative solves to make it, you know, to bring that otherworldly genre aspect into it. But I really want it to be rooted in reality too.
Thank
so
you.
That's what we'll be using a lot of alleyways. That's what my dream would be, to be using, you know, graffiti filled alleyways in Winnipeg.
That was my interrogation too, in regards to budget versus the type of content, because, you know, especially the idea is very original. So you know, kudos for that. But usually with such a small budget, it kind of tends to suffer when it's translated to screen. So, but you just answered the question. Thank you.
Oh, great. Yeah, and we have also, you know, so we have mentorship through EcoVision as well, that and they own a lot of spaces. So, you know, there could be a lot of favors being pulled in to make sure that we can get the version that we're happy with.
We have 1 minute left. Any other questions?
Are you going to be acting in it?
Originally, yes, I would like to act in it for the Doug role. I'd like to cast the nephew. There's a nephew role that I want to cast that's Doug's connection back to his home reserve, and you know, that he doesn't want to go back as a failure, so he pretends, he keeps this facade up to his nephew that he's a successful musician. And so I'll be acting in the title role for Doug, and then Sarah Cohen, my wife, will be acting in the opposite role. So in terms of COVID safety time, we are in the same household, so it makes it easier for us to shoot those.
Thank you so much. We're at time. Well done. Congratulations, Cynthia and Migwen. Migwen, I know you have to rush back to set, and really appreciate you interrupting your day for this, and thank the team at Burden, and we'll see you, I hope, on Sunday night.
Absolutely. And I'll pop in when I can. So thank you very much, guys.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, up next, we have Closet Stories. Let's watch the video.
Hey everybody, thank you so much to imagineNATIVE and APTN for selecting us for this pitch. We're really excited for this opportunity. Closet Stories is a 20-part web series that focuses on the question, what do you keep in the back of your closet and why?
Hello, my name is Jennifer Ille. I am an Indigenous writer, producer, and director. I was born in Germany, but I have been living in Vancouver for the last 5 years, and I am very excited to be part of this pitch today.
My name is Alex Bailey and I'm a director and producer from Toronto. My previous work with Theola Ross is currently playing on imagineNATIVE, and we previously won Best Short Film at Hotbox 2020. That win allowed us to qualify for the Oscars in 2021.
So the way Alex and I met was actually through the 2019 NSI Indigidocs program. We were both working as producers for different documentaries, and we went through the program together in Winnipeg and in Toronto. And we got to know each other very well and had such a good connection that we decided that we would like to do a project in the future.
Each episode of Closet Stories will begin with the question, what do you keep in the back of your closet and why? At the beginning of every episode, we will have a 10-second chunk dedicated to learning about our subject, what they do, their home area, and what they're passionate about. After our title credits, we will quickly be in their room and a voiceover will ask the question, what do you keep in the back of your closet and why? We will see our subjects reach into their closet and pull out their object. From there, we will place our subjects in a comfortable position in their room and have them tell their story about the object. Our shots will focus on a floating camera aesthetic that switch between B-roll of the individual space and other objects that they hold, as well as shots of their face, body, and interactions of holding the object. A sample character for Closet Stories could be a woman who reaches into the back of her closet and has a jingle dress from when she's younger. We would explore the story associated to that dress, what it meant to have a dress like that for the first time. Was it ever used? Was it not ever used? And is it going to be kept in the family for a memento? We'll talk about her experience with her culture and her experience with dance in the Indigenous circles.
I got interested in performing in elementary school, yeah, like when I was kind of put in my first play. And I remember like my mom used to always have us like play dinner table games. I used to like assign roles for everyone. Like I'd be like, you're gonna play my older brother, you're gonna play our younger brother, you're gonna play my sister, you're gonna play me. And then I would play someone. So I think that's my first memory of liking to perform and make people laugh.
Stylistically, Closet Stories is inspired by the APTN series, First Contact. We really appreciate and respect the camera work that the series managed to accomplish, which allowed their subjects to feel comfortable while sharing intimate moments and stories. Often you see the camera pulled back so people feel a bit more open to breathe, but in really intense moments you still have those close-up shots of their eyes or their hands clenching, and we have that emotional journey.
Something that Alex and I spoke about was bringing in Indigenous musicians' work into each episode. This can be very interesting because there's different types of music out there, and depending on who we'll be interviewing, we can create a totally different feel in each episode and perhaps even interview with some of these musicians. And this will be a way of bringing back to the community and also supporting each other.
One of the great things about Closet Stories is that broadcasters have multiple ways that they can package this series. The series can be packaged into 25-minute episodes containing 2 to 3 stories per episode, or the series could be partnered into 5 to 7 minute individual episodes released online. We want a series that's flexible for the broadcaster and so that they can decide how to best target their audience. When looking to target younger audiences, we know that they like shorter segments, so we could be focusing on the 5 to 7 minute chunks. If looking to target a more broad spectrum, all of Closet Stories can be strung together into longer episodes under different themes, locations, touching stories, and that will allow for a 30-minute chunk. We're really excited about how flexible and how engaging this series can be for all audiences ranging from kids to very old.
Talking a little bit about our shooting plan, Alex and I decided we're going to be focusing on the Toronto area. And we decided that because of COVID-19, we want to be ready and very flexible for any last minute changes. So we were thinking of shooting in a time frame or time period of 3 weeks, where we're going to have about 10 shooting days where if possible, we're going to be interviewing 2 to 3 people a day, which would come to about 20 to 25 interviewees. Alex and I are convinced, and we know that with the available budget and the additional funding, we are going to create a very high quality docu-web series. Not only are we going to be covering all of our basic costs, but we're also being able to pay compensation and going to be able to pay these artists, like I mentioned before, these Indigenous musicians' work we would like to use. And in this way, we're also giving back to the community and creating something very impactful and meaningful. Something that came up a couple of times during this pitch is Indigenous representation. As I mentioned before, we would like to foster talent by using Indigenous musicians, but not only that, we would like to hire an Indigenous crew and also offer something like an internship or mentorship for emerging filmmakers, where either someone is going to be shadowing Alex as the director's side, or someone is going to be shadowing myself and really involving them in the whole filmmaking process as well and bringing more stories to life.
I'd like to end today by saying thank you so much to imagineNATIVE and to APTN. This is an incredible opportunity that we deeply value. We hope to see Closet Stories come to life so we can champion all types of Indigenous stories on the web platform. Thank you again, and we're really looking forward to seeing the other pitches. Enjoy the festival.
Congratulations, well done. Thank you very much. I'm going to put the timer on, and we will turn it over to our jury. Thank you.
Hi guys, great pitch.
Thank you.
Yeah, so very original. And my first comment is, I think it's great. I just want to mention that you guys took into consideration the possibility of repackaging it, because although it's going to go straight on Lumi for streaming, think for you to be able to project yourself and to think about that. So I really appreciated that in your pitch. And my question, I guess, you're mentioning 25 interviews approximately. So it seems a lot. So you guys are confident that you're going to be able to you actually have like 25 people already in your mind that you could interview for the project. So you're confident that you're going to be able to deliver this?
We're pretty confident. Jen and I had already started a list before and reaching out to folks before we submitted the pitch and had some really good feedback. And we were scheduling, depending on COVID, of course, our interviews to be kind of 1 or 2 per day, and working with the crew on, we've talked to them about their rates and things like that, the folks we want to work with before submitting the pitch to make sure that our budget would work with it.
Due to the concept of the show, you guys are going to be in like small quarters probably, so your budget took consideration, I guess, for COVID insurances for filming, extra insurances.
Yeah, and Jen also budgeted for like PPE and made sure that we'd have enough per shooting day as well to make sure everyone was safe and in the correct zones. We also were discussing, depending on how COVID changes throughout, alternative ways of shooting, like bringing like an iPad in to have direction for Jennifer in the room in a sense as well, and just keeping things really limited to make sure that whoever needs to be in that space at that time is there, and otherwise everyone is outside. We only see the crew actually going into spaces being, camera, sound, myself 3, maximum 4 as a swing possibly, but really, really skeleton, because I think it's a project that can actually shoot during COVID, and that's what's really important to us.
Yeah, and I guess the intimacy also of the smallest crew will go in your favor, you know, to get nice content. Thank you so much.
So, hey, Alex. Hey, Jennifer. Nice to see you guys again. Great video, very clear. A question, I guess, for both of you on the creative side. How are you going to fill the world out? Like 10 minutes in a closet to me sounds like, you know, I'm going to really want to get out of there. After 30 seconds, I get it. Here's your jingle dress. Minute 1, minute 2. Okay, so I got this. And then I'm still in the closet looking at the jingle dress. I'm going to be like, you know, one of the great things about Bourdain, about Chef's Table, is that it's not only this person with this item that they're very passionate about, it's the world of which they come into that item. So as a jingle dress, you know, example, are you saying you're going to archive, you know, you're going to get a whole bunch of footage of jingle dress? So all the beautiful things of jingle dress, you're going to buy someone's, you know, stock footage of that, or we're going to go like, you know, are you going to animate something that's super expensive, as we know, but how are you going to sort of build that out where you're going to hold me for 10 minutes, which is actually a long time on the web, as we know, like, you know, like 10 minutes is forever on the web. So, you know, how are you going to do that? How are you going to build the world out and not leave me in a closet for that long?
Yeah, I think we're looking at kind of a flexible time frame between 6 and 10 minutes, depending on the story itself. And if there is a really large, maybe historical context to the story that they're telling, that would give us that space to then go in and explore that stories as well. One of the other things that's kind of fun is that if the object relates to someone in the community or someone in the space that can also be brought in, then we can dive into that relationship as well. So if it's family history, you can go into the relationship to, let's say, a grandparent, and then also that community and that, you know, space as well. We definitely agree that 10 minutes is on the longer side. I think that would be more our maximum runtime. We're looking more between kind of 6 to 8, but knowing that it could go longer, and just the documentary having that flexibility. One of our goals is just to make sure that they all eventually kind of pair up within reason to the same time frame, and they can be either clicked together or unclicked depending on how they want to structure it.
My questions have been answered, but I just I know in your pitch you had mentioned that this project was inspired by an APTN series. Would you mind giving me a quick rundown of what that inspiration was? I'm not familiar, thank you.
Yeah, sure. So the way that they shoot a lot of their series is their camera isn't super invasive to their characters. I think that's a really big thing for us, is letting people feel like they have space to talk and feel really comfortable. So when shooting, we really want to make sure that people are never sharing stories that they're not comfortable with broadcasted, number one, but two, that it's like a safe space that they feel they can share things that are potentially personal. Like in the last documentary I did, we filmed in a hospital. We filmed the C-section. We filmed like the birth of the child, and it was really important for our team, one, to be like very aware of the sensitivities of issues that may come up, and two, to kind of act as if they aren't there. And I think that's a really big thing for us, is just to look at other films and other documentary series that are very respectful of stories and how they shoot, without being a very boring, like, we're not going to shoot just like this, how I am right now. It's really intimidating and it's really hard to share things. So looking for other inspirations from APTN series that really focus on giving people the space they need.
And will there be any Indigenous elements included?
Yeah, absolutely. So one of the biggest elements I think I mentioned in the pitch was bringing in Indigenous artists and musicians. And as Alex mentioned earlier already, we were looking at Indigenous activists, dancers, designers. That would be really interesting, getting their perspective and also their artistic background into the stories.
Thank you very much, Jennifer and Alex. Really enjoyed that. And we invite you to go back to the green room, and we will see you later.
Thank you.
All right, up next, we have the team from the Project Kin. Over to you.
Hi, I'm Thurza Cudhand here with co-creators Justin Ducharme and Lindsay Nixon. We are here to talk about Kin. Kin is a scripted dramedy web series pilot consisting of 5 episodes around 5 minutes each in length. Our story follows the misadventures of our Cree main character and their group of 4 adult Cree and Métis queer, trans, and Two-Spirit friends living in Toronto. co-directed by myself and Justin Ducharme, and produced by Lindsay Nixon for the newly formed production collective of the Indigenous Digital Humanities Lab at Ryerson University. KIN represents the intersections of queer, trans, and urban Indigenous experiences through methods of Indigenous humor and storytelling.
The structure of KIN follows suit the narrative storytelling structure of the films Broken Flowers and Powwow Highway, wherein our main protagonist is involved in a calamity in episode 1, and the consequences play throughout the misadventures of our anti-hero main character and her community throughout the rest of the narrative.
In KIN, our main character, Dee, wakes up to a slew of notifications on their phone and realizes they tweeted something dubious on Twitter the night before about transphobic and homophobic elders. Not wanting to deal with the consequences of having called out elders online and being a generally dissociative and avoidant runner all around, Dee deletes all their social media accounts, only to realize that Twitter was how they were in contact with their new crush. Dee spends the rest of the series visiting each of their friends around Toronto throughout a one-day period, trying to find out who in their friend group knows their crush and can put them in contact. Dee only knows their crush from their Twitter handle and has to repeat a pun name such as Butts and Boys, we're still workshopping this, over and over to their friends. The series culminates in episode 5 when all the characters meet up outside an Indigenous burlesque show to smoke, pre-drink, and talk about their friend, the beloved but misfortunate Dee.
Dee is an awkward, bumbling at times, non-binary butch who is our self-destructive anti-hero. They're constantly getting themselves into trouble and putting their foot in their mouth, but they still manage to be lovable. They are the kind of person who falls asleep in the same clothes as the night before and wakes up smelling of cigarettes and Pilsner beer.
The supporting characters include James and Megan, queer besties in their 40s who are trying to have a baby together. They first appear in episode 2. Dee visits the pair at one of their appointments for insemination. Jokes for this episode play on the fact that they have to pretend to be straight because of insemination laws in Canada, but they're so obviously not straight. In episode 3, Dee visits Mo, a trans feminine badass and loyal friend who our main character relies on for emotional support, perhaps a little too heavily, and Mo's romantic partner who quietly orbits Dee's drama with care, still in script development.
We were brought together by the creative intersections of our work, experimental methods and representation in Indigenous film, and comedic writing and storytelling. Since 1995, Thurza has been making short, experimental narrative videos and films about sexuality, madness, queer identity, love, and indigeneity, which have screened at festivals internationally. Thurza was recognized for her body of work and given an artist spotlight at imagineNATIVE this year. Justin has released 4 short films to date, most notably Positions in 2018, which won the Audience Award for Best Short at Fairy Tales Film Festival in 2019, and The Dancer in 2019, both which premiered at imagineNATIVE. I represent the production collective of the Indigenous Digital Humanities Lab at Ryerson. I have worked as a video producer for Canadian art, and I'm well immersed in Indigenous film communities as a critic and board member for the Cousins Experimental Film Collective. It's exciting for me to bring together friends and co-collaborators and co-creators. I began to reflect that there was a serious lack of queer, trans, and two-spirit perspectives in Indigenous film. Like many collaborative relationships start, I began to wonder if not now, when, and if not us, who. I approached Justin and Thurza with the proposal of producing a web series with Justin and Thurza coming on the project as directors. Simultaneously, a new and exciting opportunity at Ryerson was being developed that allowed us to begin envisioning the production of an ongoing web series that could represent diverse Indigenous queer, trans, and two-spirit communities.
We have several years of experience in the film and television industry among us, but this is our first debut as producers and directors of television. We recognize that working with a network like APTN and an internationally renowned industry space like imagineNATIVE would give us the opportunity to bring this story to audiences we want to reach. We can't think of a better opportunity to lean into the mentorship and support of these institutions to bring our dream to established audiences in Indigenous film and television.
Production for this series will begin immediately, with script development occurring from October 2020 until March 2021. Pre-production period will run from January until April 2021, with production taking place over 2 weeks in Toronto during May 2021. The web series will move into post-production and editing immediately following production by May 2021 up until July 2021. So Kin is prepared for a release that coincides with the imagineNATIVE Festival in fall 2021. A rough cut of 2 episodes will be prepared for festival entry in late June. While these are our ideal timeframes, COVID-19 measures might mean that we will have to be pragmatic and flexible with production to ensure the safety of everyone on set. While this is an ambitious project, we are certain we can complete it for a budget of $57,000, made possible with the generous support of imagineNATIVE, APTN, and its partners. The model we will take up in the development of the pilot season is a test for one we hope to replicate ongoingly for future seasons, wherein we hope to establish a rotating writer's room that could move across cities and rural spaces such as reservation communities. Thank you very much for your time and your feedback on our pitch today.
Thank you.
Thanks. Thank you very much. Congratulations. Great pitch. Really came together nicely. So now we have.
Thank you, Deb.
I'm going to set
We
the
couldn't have
timer.
done it without you.
Oh, thank you. I'm going to set the timer for 7 minutes, and I'm going to invite the jury to ask away whatever they'd like to know more of.
Hi, great pitch. It sounds like a really funny series. So my question, just really quickly, I see, sorry if I missed it, but do you guys have any, like, your cast and crew, like, set and ready to go?
Yeah, so I think what we spoke about is moving the production to Toronto, is working with key creatives that Thurza has already established in the Toronto film community. And we had already spoken about an extensive search to find Two-Spirit and Indigiqueer talent to be in the web series. Something that I think is really important to all three of us is having queer, trans, and Two-Spirit youth play the characters that we are telling. Yeah, we want very accurate representation and who's playing the characters on screen.
Yeah, and I have like crew I worked with on a short recently here in Toronto, and also I've worked with Kylie May before, so I was thinking we could hire her for the trans feminine actress.
Yeah, also thought it was super great pitch, very clear, well done. I love it. I want to see it. So, you know, I think this is really great. And as your pitch stated, it's sort of an underrepresented storytelling space on screen. And that it's coming from a team like this is really exciting too. I'm super pumped. I guess the question that does sort of linger is sort of the cast. As we know, when you get into narrative stuff, it's like, if they can't pull it off, then there's really nothing. Doesn't matter how great your scripts are, you know, you're kind of sunk. So it's kind of, I guess it would be encouraging. Maybe it is less of a question, more of just an advice thing. You know, if you're going to go with the sort of City of God approach, if you know that movie, where they're taking talent that is sort of new to the game, and they're really developing that talent, where you guys are pairing yourselves with established, like you paired a pitch with Deb, you pair your rehearsal schedule with an acting coach to really find a way, and you might even adjust your scripts based on that feedback. And there's a lot of good examples. George Washington is another film that came out of the States that had that same kind of approach, where the filmmakers are doing that. And if that is the thing where you're not going to go to, like, you know, these are the stars that we already know exist, and yeah, they might not be part of the community specifically, but they'll just play that part. If you want it to be authentic like that, it would be good to have answers for that kind of approach in the pitch, because I'm in, this is so funny, your pitch is amazing, I want to see it. Wait, who's in it? You know, like I think that question, I hate to follow up on the same question, but it was the one that struck me as sort of being like, ooh, who is in it? Who will pull it off? And so do you guys have a sort of plan, or can you know, I know you might put you on the spot, just freewheeling of like, you know, it's because it's not there in the budget too, right? You know, to sort of develop a cast. How would you see that for that pre-production process, which might be quite long, to sort of create your team and your cast in front of the camera?
I mean, I was thinking we would have established and like emerging actors working together, because I think the established actors would help the emerging ones, you know,
Yeah,
like
for sure.
yeah, so there's definitely like some training involved in it, but we also like don't want to just rely on new actors who like fit the part. Like we also want like established people who can do a good job.
Yeah, one thing also.
Yeah, thank you, Shane, for that. Oh, sorry, I just want to say thank you, Shane, for that feedback too. I was writing notes furiously as you were talking. I really appreciate that.
Yeah, one thing I want to note too is that Thursday and I have both really extensive experience working with non-actors or people who haven't acted before. Both of the leads in my last two shorts had never been in front of the camera, and I worked with them personally to develop their skills as an actor. And I think part of the reason why we have such a lack of representation of Two-Spirit, trans, and Indigenous people on screen is because there are a lack of opportunities of people willing to take them on and mentor them and give them roles, take the chance and take the risk of casting them. So I do think that it is important for us to have a mixture of that because we do want to uplift our community. So we do want to bring in folks who, you know, are interested, but maybe have a bit of an imposter syndrome feeling because the industry is so hard to crack into and because it's so hard to find a set to work on where you can really develop a craft. And that's something that I love to do because I think that we have so much talent in our communities, and sometimes all that's standing in the way is our own personal fears, you know. And I love opening that up for somebody and bringing them on to a project where they can explore what it means to be a creative.
So great pitch, guys. I really love the idea. Like, love it, really. I think that it's so important to give voice to this community because it's so underrepresented right now. So creatively, we're talking right now about a web series, but in your minds, like, can you see your character evolving beyond the format of a web series, like a second season example? Or is it more like a closed, like is the web series an end to your character, like the story is told, that's it? Or do you have enough backstory, like in your mind, where you want to take the characters to take them further?
I mean, I think it's a story about a community. So like the characters would always be changing. So there's room in the second season to like focus on focus on the trans feminine characters, like story arc, instead of just the bumbling butch in the first season. So I think there's room to change it around.
Yeah, I think the nice thing about what we built here is that it is kind of like a pilot project that you could take over and give to any sort of scenario or character and explore their life and their community through those episodes.
Awesome, thank you.
That was great. That was fun.
Thank you so much. Well done, Ken. We will invite you to go back to our green room, and we will see you in a little bit when we come back from adjudicating. Thanks so much. Good job. Next up, we have Red Rage. Let's watch our video pitch.
Okay, Nadanigu. Hi, how are you? My name is Joshua Manyheads. I come from the Siksika Nation on Treaty 7 land.
Danadada Gujanista. My name is Robert Dodgenhorse. I'm from Sutina, part of the Treaty 7 of Alberta.
And today we'll be presenting our web series called Red Rage, which is a 3-episode series at about 15 minutes each.
Our web series Red Rage is a neo-Western sci-fi drama. What that means is it's really just cowboys and Indians with superpowers. And where we meet our protagonist, Liam, we find him in conflict with his past, where he has shut out his ability to converse with the dead. He achieves that with substance abuse, unfortunately. This ability he has since childhood is now silenced occasionally with drugs and whiskey.
But due to time constraints, his backstory will be dealt with future projects.
As we see a broken down Liam, he finds purpose in helping to save young mutates from themselves and government agents that are hunting them down. That is until a powerful young mutate steps into the scene and starts corrupting the young group of mutates, persuading them into violent acts for his own benefit. His newfound responsibility is challenged, and now he must seek out this new hostile adversary. A new drug is secretly introduced to the Indigenous youth as a trial run for human testing for a pharmaceutical vaccine. As overdose numbers rise, a chemical reaction starts to occur, activating a dormant ability in the genes of First Nations people, creating a powerful group of Indigenous youth.
But please let our sizzle reel speak for itself.
There's always been something dormant in our people. Not the rage, though. That age is finer than wine, and a hell of a lot wilder than fire. You see, in the 1930s up into the 1970s, inappropriate procedures and medical experiments were conducted by the Lacombe Corporation in hopes to develop a new drug that combated tuberculosis. Not a lot of survivors made it past the initial trial run, so what did the Lacombe Corporation do? They buried it. That was until the grandchildren of those survivors awoken something within themselves. What did I do? Red rage. What did I do? A new street drug with the intent to kill the lower class.
Fighting it only makes it worse.
We had a resistance to it. Call it 500 years of just being sick and tired. Needless to say, no one likes a powerful Indian. So the government sends these agents to keep our numbers down. And one by one, they begin to take the children away. That's where I come in. My job is to hunt and to find the ones responsible for distributing these drugs to our youth, and to guide the lost ones who lose control of their powers, and to find a better way to use them. I just hope I ain't too late. See, there was a child that was born out of all this madness. Maybe a gift from the Creator, someone to right the wrongs from the devils of our past. And he thinks he's alone. His world's about to get a lot bigger.
So with the production value of that sizzle reel, we actually use our own equipment as well as skills we obtained from previous projects. Robert and I actually come from director of photography backgrounds, so we're actually looking for...
We're constantly looking for the best look possible in all of our projects. So, and with today's technology, we literally have an advantage from software such as Avid, Pro Tools, Adobe, DaVinci, that all from the comfort of our home, really.
We'll actually be using practical effects as well, just to capture kind of that realism we strive for Red Rage, and that will be right from latex blood squibs. And right now we're actually currently in the talks with Bleeding Art Industries, who actually will help us achieve the look we are looking for our web series. And for locations, we'll actually be using our hometown, Calgary, Alberta, as well as Siksika Nation and Tsuut'ina Nation for Red Rage. And with our associations, we also want to say that we'll actually be having an association with the Napi Collective Film Group, as well as Calgary Society of Independent Filmmakers.
A lot of our crew and our departments positions will be filled out from the Napi Collective, as well as people that we know from film school, people that we know from the Calgary Society of Independent Filmmakers. We have a lot of resources that we are fortunate to tap into.
We also will be having front row insurance, and grip permits will be required to shoot on location within the city of Calgary. We want to use the local talent because we find that in Indigenous media today, we find Siksika, as well as the nations of Treaty 7 seem to be very underrepresented in the media. So we wanted to just try and make a film that really gravitates towards Treaty 7 and kind of just show the talent, the humor, the issues that we face today. And we just hope that kind of has an influential impact on young Indigenous youth today, right from Siksika, Tsuut'ina, even to our Eastern brothers and sisters. We just like to make a story that everybody could relate to, but also look up to as well, with the characters that we want and the engaging story. We'd like to thank you for your time, and we hope that you liked our trailer and our pitch, and are really hoping to work with you in the future.
Congratulations, well done.
Thank you.
Very much for that pitch. Right on. I'm going to pass it over to our jury to ask any questions you might have. Thanks.
If I may go first, good job, guys. I have to say, when I read the paperwork submitted, I wasn't too sure. There was a lot of element for me that didn't, in my mind, in my perception, did not necessarily go well together, especially with the science fiction genre. But seeing the trailer today really put it in such a good perspective. Like, now I know where you guys want to go with your story. I have a better understanding on where the story is coming from. So I just wanted to say that. And yeah, so, but this being said, I was kind of curious to know, how did you, in your mind, how did you make the connection between, because your premise is kind of very dark and very serious, like the testing that was done on the Indigenous communities, you know, it's not, it's no laughing subject matter, sorry. So how did you guys came to the proposition of a sci-fi drama with that? What was your creative la démarche?
Creative process.
Thank you.
We just grew up like really in love with the genre our entire lives, like especially in sci-fi. Like when you watch like you know, all these space movies and stuff like that, you never see like natives in the universe at all. So it's really like they're saying like we don't exist anymore. So I always found that like we were never really represented in the sci-fi genre. So I wanted, well, me and Josh like really kind of committed to wanting to change that or be a part of that realm. Yeah. Like Gene Roddenberry is like a huge inspiration for us as well. Like he just his inclusion, and it just made us feel like we could be a part of that world one day. But a lot of like the inspiration really came from was like I guess Scanners and Mandy, that Nicolas Cage movie, as well as X-Men. We're just kind of nerds for that genre, really.
Was there a timeline and budget that you had projected for your project?
Yeah. So, well, for the timeline, me and Josh have been pretty adamant on how we really want to pull off the show, really. So, we're already into scheduling, but we're aiming for like a May finish. So that way our film crew is not going to be like out in the weather cold and stuff like that. Yeah. So there's a little bit of time so we can adjust our script and schedule. A lot of the budgeting will be assisted through the app Movie Magic. So it's a really helpful, handy tool, especially like when it comes to crunching the numbers and organization. It's a huge advantage that we have just using today's technology, because they really do cater to the indie market. Like a lot of equipment that was inaccessible like 10 years is like, you know, we could go to a store after we, you know, like did a summer job, and then when we're slowly purchasing the equipment we do need. So it's getting more and more of a reality to pull off the looks and the stories we want to tell.
Yeah. And, you know, like what Robert's saying, you know, for the May start, we'd like to do it just because, you know, we find the weather will probably be a little bit more nicer, but that also gives us a lot of time to just kind of go over the details and kind of just fine tune everything before production starts, as well as, you know, with all the crew, casting, like even giving Robert some time to, you know, finalize his script. So yeah, our timeline right now is looking pretty good right now. So yeah. We do plan to start in May for production.
Yeah, that was awesome pitch. Great sizzle reel. Totally fun. I made a feature, one for 15,000, one for 50,000. Like you, Robert, my basement's got a whole bunch of gear stacked up on shelves, and just like I love your video. You guys got your rack with the audio toolkit. It's a toolkit, man. I'm so down with the indie spirit. I love it so much, man. And you can really feel that coming across in your pitch and in the sample. And the sample is a lot of fun. You know, I love the reference to the searchers with the doorway and the guy walking out. You know, like this. You know, really nice touches. I just wanted to ask a bit more about like I know you're working in the script process, but the script process will also give me a sense of who might your casting be, you know, like, because that's ultimately what I'm going to be watching with, you know, like if I watch The Matrix, I think about Neo, I think about Trinity, you know, the classic love story. And then I think about Agent Smith, the bad guy, you know, it's so classic. And so in that sense, I missed a sense of who the antagonist is. Like, is it a person, you know, like the sheriff in Jaws has Jaws, you know, so who's your Jaws?
Really, so it's kind of neat how we got the protagonist and the antagonist are both suffering from losses, and as they start coming into grips with like combating each other, it actually becomes a battle of ethics, like and morality. So the antagonist is trying to lead these kids astray, while the protagonist is trying to stop them. But while they're fighting, there's this government entity that's above them, and they're both hunting them down. So they have a common enemy. So we're eventually going to explore a lot of different avenues. Like it's just there's a lot of things we could do with the story. Right now for the script, we do have 3 scripts for the initial episodes, but due to some ethical concerns, like I am currently in rewrites, and everything will be worked out, especially with the help of Josh and some friend from film school who's just an amazing script editor.
It's really great, guys. Yeah, awesome.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And I'm sorry, we're out of time. Okay. Thank you very, very much, Josh and Robert. I'm going to invite you to go back to the green room, and we will see you in a little bit.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
I just want to say congratulations to all of the teams for really putting together very, very strong pitches with these crazy, unprecedented conditions. So well done. Really, really well done. And I also want you to remember that even if you don't win today, because only one team can win today, it means no for now, but that's it, right? So I would encourage you to continue developing your projects and ideas, and I really look forward to continuing our dialogue and our relationships and hearing how your projects evolve. And I want to thank our jury for being here with us. Karen, Yanetta, Shane, thank you so much for being here today, and wishing all the teams every success.